the type of UX process you use when you are a freelancer. There are types you use when you work with a small startup. There are certain processes that you use when you work with a big company like Facebook or Google and the rest. So it is never static. But actually, in between all of these, there are some processes that you keep meeting every time, that you keep meeting, and that are necessary in any use case. So today we are going to look at just an overview of the roadmap. I want to know if everyone can see my screen. Then when we look at the roadmap, I would like us to focus on one particular UX process that is really vital to creating modern digital solutions, and that will be user testing. I would like us to see how to create a user testing process using Maze, and also see how to read the insights that we get from the user testing. So before that, let's look at the UX roadmap that I myself sometimes use, and just like I said, this is not static. This can grow, this can shrink. You can have it like this, and so on and so forth. So first things first, I think we need to understand the core of UX. The core of UX design is to design a good user experience for anyone using your product. So to design a good user experience, you need enough data from the user, from whoever also is the product owner, and also from the stakeholders around. When you get enough data, then you can use the data to build up a good UX, build up a good user experience on that product. So just to say, user experience design is data driven. When you get enough data, then you can use the data to make better decisions. So the first thing that I always say the UX designers should do, most especially if you are working alone or you are working at a small startup, is to have a session with the stakeholder. So you can have a stakeholder session, and this stakeholder section should be with the product owner. That's the first session. So that's the first stage where you start to collect data. So this will be with the product owner. Now, during this session, the product owner should describe the product clearly. After that, the product owner should state the purpose of the product. Now, during this session, you, the UX designer, should be taking notes or creating a brief from that session you are having with the product owner. After the product owner says the purpose of the product, then you can ask if the product has a business goal, because it's not all products that have business goals. Some products are not business products. So it will be important to know if the product have a business goal, and if it has a business goal, what is the business goal? Now, when the business goal is stated, you will know if it's a short-term business goal, a mid-term business goal, or a long-term business goal. So some business goals, like let's say you are building, or let's say you are designing an insurance product. Of course, that is not a short-term business goal. So the product owner needs to state the type of business goal that the product has. And after that, you get the information from the product owner to know the target users. When you get the target users, then you talk about the competitors. Who are the competitors? Now, this is something you want to know from the product owner also before you yourself make some research on the competitors. So the product owner should be able to have done some little research about the product before trying to build the product, because that's like due diligence. If you wake up to build a product, it is normal for you to make some research about that product before you think of building it. Now, when you get the list of competitors from the product owner, then you can start looking at the limitations from the perspective of the product owner. So you ask the product owner, what are the limitations for this and that from their own perspective? After that, you find out from the product owner how users are currently solving that problem. So this is always something that happens. I think for every problem, there is a way humans solve it. It might not be a digital solution, but every problem has a way around it currently, as long as that problem is being faced by humans. Humans always know how to evolve around problems. So there is need for you to also note how the users are currently solving that problem. When you know that, then down the line, you might also tailor your own digital solution to sort of marry that solution that exists currently, so that the users don't have a very different flow to go with. So after this meeting with the product owner, then you yourself can now go to work, you the UX designer. This is where this is where you start your research. So you can create your stakeholders brief, which will be from all of these questions. You can use that to create your stakeholders brief, or you can create just any journal sort of. Then down here at this stage, you can then conduct your own competitive analysis to know more about the competitors from your own perspective, because how you know about the competitors will be different from how the product owner knows about the competitors. Now, at this stage, I would always say that you create what we call a crude problem, or a crude problem statement. Now, this is just you judging, or this is you stating the problem this product owner is trying to solve from the perspective of the product owner. Like, it is not the product owner who will use the product, right? So you can't say this is a refined problem statement. The product owner might just know about the problem, but not facing the problem. So you can create a crude problem statement at this stage to work with. Now, it is that crude problem statement that you can use to, or that you can pipe into a UX design framework. Now, there are so many frameworks out there. There's the double diamond theory. There's even the Google Sprint method. Then there is the D-School design thinking framework, which is like the most popular design thinking framework out there, created by the D-School University at Stanford. So you can adopt any framework of your choice at this stage. Now you are adopting a framework to tackle a problem that you understand from the perspective of the product owner. When you do that, then you can start breaking down the stages of the framework. Now, in this case, we are going to look at the D-School design thinking framework. So the D-School design thinking framework is a design thinking framework that uses design thinking to solve design problems with 5 stages. Now, the 5 stages are the empathize stage, the define stage, the ideate stage, the prototype stage, and the test stage. So when you have your crude problem, you can apply the D-School design thinking framework on that crude problem to start getting more details about the problem, so that your data bank about the problem can expand. That way you can make better decisions. So for the first stage, this is where you empathize. And to empathize with the users facing the problem simply means you hear about the problem from the perspective of the people facing the problem, because it is understood that if I am facing a problem, it is better you hear about the problem from me so that you can build a better solution for me. So if you don't hear about the problem, or if you don't understand the problem from the perspective of the users, it might be difficult for you to come up with a solution for the user that will be perfect, or that will be great. So at this stage, you try to understand the problem from the perspective of the users. And one easy way to do that, if you don't have enough money to go about this, is to send out digital surveys, or maybe organize paid surveys on a particular set of people which you see as the people facing the problem. So you can send out digital surveys using Google Form or Typeform, or even Microsoft Forms, or any other tool out there, or SurveyMonkey. Now, that survey will be used to collect data about the problem from the perspective of the people facing the problem. So you would create the survey, with relevant questions about the problem, send the surveys out to the users facing the problem. Then also you can have a one-on-one interview. These days, companies take feedback from Twitter. Companies even get to know about the problems from the users from Twitter. So if you have any channel that you can use to reach out to the users for you to know about the problem from their perspective, that's fine. Now, it is when you know about this problem, or it's when you know about it from the users, that you can document it. Now, when you document these problems, then you can document them in like you can document them per person. Like you can say, okay, this survey went out, we had 20 responses from the survey. So you can break down this survey into those 20 persons, then you create a persona for the 20 persons. So that's what we also call user persona. So you can create these personas for each person. Now, what's a user persona? This is just like, will I say this is just like you talking about a person in relation to that research that you are carrying. So you would reflect the questions that you sent out. You might ask them to say their names and what they do, so that you can use that also to understand how they face the problem. So you can document it, each person. This is so and so person. This is so and so person. This is what they do, and this is what they do. Then you can say, okay, this person actually wishes that they can get a cab at their doorstep every morning. This person lives in a city that rains 10 days out of 12 days, and they would like a shirt with a raincoat, just something like that. So you document it, each person. When you do that, then you can analyze the responses. Now, this stage also, you can do card sorting. Like you can also call a team of designers, or you yourself can actually do this in FigJam. You can analyze the responses that you got from the survey. So you would say, okay, we had 20 responses. 10 people actually love plantain. So let's keep everybody who love plantain here. 6 people love yam. Let's keep it 6 people who love yam. But we don't want to solve any problem for rice. So 3 people sent in their responses for rice. Let's take them out. We are trying to focus on people who love plantain and yam. Now, out of these 6 people who love plantain, 4 of them say they can eat it Monday to Sunday. 2 say they can't. Now, out of these 4 people who love yam, 2 say they can eat plantain and yam, and 2 say they can't. Let's take out this other 2, and that way you can then niche down the number of people who sent in the responses to the people who are actually facing that problem you are trying to solve. Now, when you have that, you can analyze all of that and have that target market for yourself when it comes to this stage. Then doing all of this, will teach you more about the problem from the perspective of the users facing the problem. Now, if you come back here, you would see that what we did here was we created a crude problem statement, right? But this is from the perspective of the product owner. Now, the product owner might be someone who doesn't even live in that place. The product owner might be a venture capitalist who don't even know much about what they are trying to solve. Maybe they read about it in the papers, or they saw it on the television. So that might be the product owner. So designing from their own angle isn't the best thing. So after you empathize with the users, you analyze their responses, and you collect data from them, and you understand the problem better. Then you can define the problem statement. You can use all of the analysis from here to then define a good problem statement. Now, the good thing about this problem statement is that this particular problem statement is a user-centric problem statement. This is a problem statement that focuses on the problems from the perspective of the user. So this problem statement is the problem statement you will design with, or you will carry out more research on. So when you define the problem statement now from the perspective of the users facing the problem, then you can ideate at that stage. So you can start coming up with ideas like, okay, what What can I do to solve a problem like this? Or is there an idea solving a problem like this? Now, let us carry out another stage of competitive analysis to know, okay, if this app is solving this problem like this, what are they solving bad? What are they not solving? How can I improve on what they are doing? So this is the stage where you just come up with so many ideas, you brainstorm here and there, and you can come up with more insights. Now, during this stage, you can conduct a brainstorming session. You can also do that with people or on your own. If it's just only you, you can do that with people, or you can do that on your own. Then during the brainstorming session, yeah, you would have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ideas. Then you can start working on them. Make sure you work on them to bring them down to like 2 or 1. Now, how do you do that? You do that with pointing out more advantages from all the ideas. So if this idea has more advantages than this other idea, then you drop that other one and you go with this. That way you can niche down the ideas to 2 or just 1. When you do that, then it is still at this stage that you would start piecing together task flows, user task, even sitemaps and the rest. So this stage here and the prototype stage is, most times you have them work hand in hand, because most UX designers, the moment they start coming up with ideas, they start sketching. So you can also start sketching at this stage. And it is also at this stage that you will know if the problem will be solved with a mobile app or a web app. Now, if it's a web app problem, then you go ahead and you create, and then you go ahead to focus on it being a web app. If it's going to be a mobile app, then you go ahead to focus on it being a mobile app. Now, before you make those decisions also, you will need to know the advantage of a user having that product on the web using a browser, or making it native using a mobile app. Now, there are advantages of an app being a mobile app and over an app being a web app, and there are advantages of an app being a web app over being a mobile app. Now, that's up to you to go online, also make some research, make some findings here and there to be sure that you make the best decision. Now, also, if it's for an early stage startup, or if it's for an idea that is new, you might want to just focus on having an MVP. Now, it's called a minimum viable product. Like sometimes, yeah, you might have some product owners come up to you and say, okay, we want to build this product. We want it to be a web app, a mobile app, or maybe we even want it to even have a desktop version. Now, that's not the best UX track to take, because you have not tested the idea yet with real users. So why do you think it is necessary to spend more money making it a web app, making it a mobile app, when you have not even tested the idea yet? So there is need to know the version that can test better. If the mobile app will test the idea better, then you design the mobile app at this stage. If the web app will test the idea better, then you design at this stage. I don't think at an MVP I don't think there are products who launch at MVP stage, web and mobile. Of course there are, but personally, I haven't seen more than one of that. But even the one that I have seen, they ended up launching just the web first, because since it's just a completely new product, you have to test it first to see if users are going to like before you can scale. So that is something you can also say to the product owner as a UX designer. You can also say that to the product owner that since this is a testing, or since this is a new product, we can't just build by scaling. We can only scale by building first and having users use before we scale. So it is at this stage that you will also map out all of that. Then when you map out all of that, then you can start creating user journeys. You can start creating your task flows. You can start creating your information architecture. Now, there is something that I personally like to say here. Creating user journeys, task flows, and information architecture is not written in stone. There are some products where you just need to create your user task and your task flows, and that's going to be okay. There are some products where you will need to create sitemaps and task flows, and that's going to be okay. And there are some products where you just only create sitemaps and customer journeys, and that's going to be okay. So it's not written in stone that for every product you have to create all of these things one after another, because sometimes you might find yourself repeating the same thing you did during the sitemaps, right? You might find yourself repeating the exact same thing when you are creating your information architecture. So that's why you have to have an open mind when applying these methods. Also, I would also like to say that it is not false for us to say that we have seen products that launch without even conducting or without having a user research being done. We have seen products where the designers just come up with the hi-fis without any research, and the engineers went straight to build the hi-fis without any research also. And we have seen those products launch and become great. So that is just to let you know that this is not written in stone. Sometimes you might not have your sitemaps done because clearly these are familiar products. So you can implement your own idea and your own change on the hi-fi. So when you get to this stage, you will know when it is necessary or when it is not necessary. But one way to know when it is necessary is if that product is a broad product, and if the product is not a familiar product. If I want to build an app that will be like Twitter, yeah, there are some research I won't carry. I might just work with what happens here and there, and I just have it sorted. So this stage is not a static stage. It is not a stage where everything is written in stone, just like I've said. And it is still at this stage that you will create the prototype. Now, before you create the prototype, one important thing here, or let's say before you create the hi-fi of the product, one important thing to do is to create the lo-fi. Now, we need to understand why it's important to create the lo-fi. The lo-fi is as important as the hi-fi. The hi-fi should be the lo-fi with colors and shadows and all of those stuff. Now, the lo-fi should complete your user journey or should complete your task flow. That is the purpose of the lo-fi. You should create the lo-fi to have a better picture of how the users will complete the task on the product. So you create the lo-fi, then create a prototype of the lo-fi, then use the lo-fi to see how the user will complete their task on the product. And we know that the goal of every product is for a user to go to the product and complete their task. So you use the lo-fi to do all of that. Now, if it is not working at the lo-fi stage, you work on it at the lo-fi stage before you get to the hi-fi. So the lo-fi is not basically you just having sketches of how the screen will look like. It is you actually using it to test how users will complete the task. Now, when creating the lo-fis, there are some screens that are not necessary also. Some screens are not necessary when creating the lo-fi. Focus. Okay. I think someone is saying something. Okay. Okay, so when creating the lo-fi, focus on the screens that will aid the users to complete their user task. Some screens might not be very important at the lo-fi stage. You can have those screens at the hi-fi stage. Like there are some alerts that you may not need to design at the lo-fi stage. So smaller components like alerts and tooltips, you can design those ones at the hi-fi stage. So just to make sure that the lo-fi actually drives the whole journey of how the user will complete the task on the product. And when you create that, you create a prototype of it. in Figma, yeah, you can use the linking stuff to create a prototype. Then you test the lo-fi. When you test the lo-fi and it is cool, then you can go ahead to start having the hi-fi. Now, the hi-fi, like I said, should be just the lo-fi, but with colors and just make it finer. Now, also having the copy. Sometimes some people say the copy should be done during the hi-fi stage, and sometimes during the lo-fi stage. But I think that's just a case of preference. Personally, I think the lo-fi should be done during the copy should be done during the lo-fi stage, so that when it's taken to the hi-fi stage, what you have at the hi-fi stage is just you putting things that have value together to look very fine, to look very cool. Then you just test. So when you have the hi-fi set, then you test the hi-fi that you have created, and you will be testing a good solution at this stage because you have already carried out all of these stages of research. You have already carried out all of this. Now, this is where I want us to to go practical because we don't have much time. So since this is a 1 hour session, I won't go in depth to show examples of all of these stages and to show how to use FigJam to do all of this. What I just want us to do today is to see how to create a test. So I would like us to see how to do that using maze.design. You can go to maze.design, create an account. It's free, and you can use this to create a good test. This is when you are done creating the hi-fi. You would want to test it. Now, you'd use Maze to do it, then send it out. Send the link out to users that you think are cool for testing. Then that way, you'd get your test feedback and know what you should work on and know if the users actually are cool with that. Then you can also conduct A/B testing with this. Like A/B testing is like you having to design one screen. Let's come here. So I have 2 pages here, A and B. For the A, I have this. Then for the B, I have this. So the difference here is that for the A, just one difference, since we don't have time. For the A, I have this screen here, the home screen here that says, get started by selecting a provider. Then I have top providers. Now, at this stage, or on this page, the users can still click on any of these provider to select them as their provider, or they can click here on this button. Now we have 2 options. We have 2 options that they can click on. Now, for the B page here, if you come here, you'd see that we don't have that button here. We just have get started by selecting a provider, and we have these providers listed. Now, this is A/B testing, having 2 versions of a particular flow and seeing which version actually gives seeing which version works well with the users. If that version works well, then you just go with that version. So we are going to see how to conduct a user test with Maze. Now, the way to do that is to just have your designs, your hi-fi created. I only have 4 screens here. I don't have the full app, so I only have 4 screens here. So for this, we are going to create a prototype first in Figma, then use that prototype in Maze to conduct or to set the whole test flow. So I would come here, I would create a prototype here, right? So I would say for this prototype, I want users to click here on this card, which is a provider's card. And if they click on that card, they should go to this page. Or I want them to also click here and go to the page. Now I have this flow set. Now for this other page, if they come here, they would see detail. Okay, let's take this out. Let's take this flow out. Let's only have just one flow. If they click on this card, they come to the detail page of this provider. When they get to this page, then they would see the detail of that provider and the plans. Let me zoom in. And the plans that the provider has. Now, if they like this plan, we want them to maybe click on this plan. Come here. When they go here, then we want them to see details about this plan. When they see details about the plan, then if they like the plan, they click on choose plan, or they click go back. But let's assume that we want them to click on choose plan, right? So I would come here, I would click on the button, and when they choose the plan, they'll be taken back to their homepage. Now the homepage will look, this is just a quick sketch, right? The homepage will look like something like this. It will display their provider, the plan, then the current amount that they have on that plan. Then it's going to show some transactions that is funding that plan that they have selected. So we have created the prototype just like this. Now, when you create the prototype on how you want the flow to be, on how you want the user to use the product, when you do that here in Figma, then you go to Maze, you create an account, then it's just basic. You can just sign up with Google. When you do that, then you come to your dashboard here. Then you click on create a new project. Then you give the project a name. So I can say Excels. Right? And then we are going to create project folder. And okay. And this is it. Right? So when you come here, what you do is you'd click on the new maze button here, or you click on create new maze here. So let's click on new maze. When you click on new maze, of course, these are testing templates. These are testing templates that you can use to test content and the rest. We want to see how to create from scratch. So I would come here and I would click on the start from scratch button so that we can create our own test from scratch. Now, when you come here to this dashboard now, or this editor or this canvas, this is where you can start creating your test, how it will look like, how the users will see it when they are carrying out the test. So we have the first, this is just like the layers panel here in Figma, where you have, if I click on plan detail here, this page will be selected. So this is just like the layers panel here. This is where you actually work things out. So what we have here is we have the welcome screen. Let's click on it. When you click on the welcome screen, you'd see that we have the welcome screen here. Now, this welcome screen is this page here is what the user that wants to carry out the test will see when they click on the test link you sent to them. So it's going to tell them, welcome, amazing to meet you, and all of this. Then they would have to click on the get started button to start the testing. Now, for you to change this, it's not free though. I think you have to pay. Custom message, if I try to select it, it will say go pro. So, but since we are not going pro now, let's just work with this. So when you click on the welcome screen and you see this, the next thing, when the users click on get started, of course, you want them to start testing, right? So when they click on get started, they should be taken to another page, which is where they are going to start testing. So that's where we will come here and click on add block here. When you click on add block, you'd see so many block options or so many options here to choose from. Now we have mission, we have yes or no, we have opinion scale, multiple choice down to legal screen. Now for mission here, you choose mission if you want to create a usability task. Like this is like if you want to present the user with a screen and see if they will be able to use the screen to choose a plan, just something like that. So you can choose the mission block. Now for the yes or no block, you can use this to ask the user questions like, were you able to locate the fund account button in 3 seconds? Yes or no? Just something like that. And you can use it to get more data actually. Then for the opinion scale, you can ask the users while testing, you can ask their opinion on any feature that you implemented, and you can have them rate it with the rating scale that is there. Then the multiple choice question, you can still ask questions during the test session. Then for the open session, for the open question block here, you can collect text and text, date or email answers and the rest here. So I'd just like us to start with the mission block. Then we can maybe see how all of these other ones work. But some of them are not free though. Like the legal screen is not free. And I think that's all. I think it's just the legal screen that's not free. Every other one here is free. So let's click on the mission block. When you click on the mission block, right, now you will state the mission you want the user to complete. That user that is currently testing, you want them to complete a mission, right? So you would state the mission here. So over here, I would say something like choose a provider. Then you can write a description, something like this stage is to see how quick or see how much you know about health insurance providers. You can just write something meaningful there actually. So when you write this, yeah, now this is the question. Choose a health insurance. Let's make it definite. Choose a health insurance provider. Now, after that, you'd come to the prototype section here and you'd click on add prototype. Now, when you click on add prototype, that's when you would need to bring in what you have designed from Figma into Maze. So let's do that. You click on add prototype, then you would have to paste your Figma link. You can use Sketch also. You can use Adobe XD. You can use Marvel or InVision. So I would go to my Figma link here. I would click on share. Now, when you click on share, you ensure that you check this to anyone with the link. If you select this, it won't work. So you select anyone with the link. When you select that, you click on copy link here. When you copy the link, then you paste it here. When you paste it, then you click on import. Now, before you click on import here, or let's say before you even copy this link, this is a mobile app. So make sure that on your prototype settings, right, your device should be a mobile device. Now, this is something that you may miss sometimes. Sometimes you might have it at MacBook Pro, maybe because you just designed a MacBook Pro stuff and you presented that. So make sure it is a mobile device. So when that is set as a mobile device, come here, you copy the link, then you paste it. When you paste it, you click on the import button here, and you wait for that to be imported to Maze. Allow access. Okay, let's click on that. Anyone with the link, okay. All right. So now we just allowed access. So when you paste that, when you paste that and you click on import, the prototype will be loaded here in Maze. So when the prototype is loaded in Maze, you need to do one thing. You need to define a path, because every mission needs to have a path. Like if you tell someone, go to the junction, of course, there are things that they will do to get to the junction. They would have to go out of their house first, go to the road and get to the junction. So when you are telling the user to actually complete a mission, you need to define the path for that mission. And that's what we are going to do. So what's the path here? Let's look at it here. The path we want the users to take will be to click here and go to this page, right? So let's define that path. Let's go to Maze, right? When you come here to Maze, you would bring your mouse pointer here. Then you would click on this card. This is where we want the users to click on, right? To go to the next page. So I'll click on that card. When I click on that card, it will follow the prototype that I created here in Figma. As you can see, when I click here, it goes here. So it will follow that same flow to this page. Now, the moment you just do that, you have defined your path. So now you can add a different block, right? Let's say yes or no. Now, the question will be, let's just say, did you find it easy to select a provider? Just something basic. Of course, when you are doing this for real, you have something more sensible there. So you add toggle bar there right in front of image. I can add an image, and the image I can upload a PNG, or I can upload from the prototype. I can select an image from the prototype that I created. So for us to add more insight during the test phase, let's add an image from the prototype. Let's select the home page, just like this. And that's it. So this is how it's going to look like. Did you find it easy to select provider? So let's make this definite. Select a health insurance provider. Oh, this is how it's going to look like. Then that's it. So you can add more blocks, right? You can add blocks, keep on adding blocks. Now you can add a new block to create another mission, and so on and so on and so forth. So when you are done creating your blocks and you have actually set the test how you want it to look like, you can click on the preview, not start testing, the preview. If you click on start testing and you go live, you'll be unable to change details. So you click on preview to see how it's going to look. Now, this is how it's going to look when a user wants to start taking the test. Now, the get started button is live now. So I'll click on get started. This is me being a user, right? This is me acting like a user. So I'll click on get started. Now, this is the first question, choose a health insurance provider. This stage is to see how much you know about health insurance providers, basic stuff. So let's click on get started here. Now I would come here as the user and I would look at this screen and I'll say, okay, I'll choose this. Let's click this. Now, if I click here, it won't work. If I click anywhere else, it won't work. But if I click here, you say, well done, you completed this mission. So I'll click on the continue button and I'll go to the next page that says, did you find it easy to select a health insurance provider? If I found it easy, I would click yes. If I didn't, I would click no. When I click no, I would click on the continue button. And it says, thank you. You completed our maze and we couldn't be more graceful, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. So this is a preview. This is not an actual test that I am carrying out. So if you like the preview, you creating the test, if you like the preview, then you can make it go live. If you like the preview. Now, I would also like to say, just because I have 4 screens here doesn't mean you can only import 4 screens. And just because I have 1 mission doesn't mean it has to be 1 mission. It can be endless missions and it can be endless screens. So let's say we are okay with this test and we want to start testing. We want to collect user insights from users, right? We want to see how users will use this app if they were presented with the app. So let's click on start testing. When you click on start testing, you'd have this message that's warning you to put things in order before you go live. So let's just click on go live. When we click on go live, we will be taken to this page that says share your maze with testers. So we will copy the maze link. This is the link you will send to testers. You can send it to your Discord channel. You can send it to how many people you want to send it to. So let's click on copy maze link. And when you click on copy maze link, you ensure that tester tracking is live and unique session is live. You set this and you set this. Make sure it is ticked. So I'll click on copy link. When I click on copy link, then I can send this link to users, maybe on Twitter, maybe on Discord, maybe on Facebook, anywhere at all. Or you can have a particular set of users that you feel you are doing that or you are designing that product for. You can send the link to those particular users, and you can also pay users to actually carry out your test. So let's say I sent the maze link to myself. Let's say I am the user, right? I have copied the link and I sent it to myself. So let's see how it looks like. Let's see how I'll test it, and let's see how we can see the insight of the test here in Maze. So I'll open a new tab. I'll paste this. And you can see, this is it. So I'll wait for this button to go live. I'll click on get started and choose a health insurance provider. Now, what I want to say is this: when the test is live, when the user is taking the test, the seconds that the user takes to complete a mission is recorded. Wherever the user clicks on the app is also noted. So you'd have misclicks and you'd have clicks. So if I click on get started here, I can start, then the user will start. Let's click here. Notice when I click here, click click here. Now, this is me finding it hard as a user to select a health insurance provider, and I'm spending too much time. So if I finally click on AXA Mansard, yeah, it worked. So it says, well done, you completed this mission. When I click on the continue button, I would have the second question and I would say no, then I would click on continue. Now I have completed this test. Now, going back to my maze dashboard, now this is me being the person, or this is me, the UX designer who created this test. I am back here. Let's reload this. Then we reload that. Then let's click on results. Let's click on result here. When I click on result, you'd see that I have a result, like I have my result about that test that was carried out. So 1 response. So look at the mission here. Choose a health insurance provider, 1 response. So let's see details about this actually. So there is a direct success tab here that says testers who completed the mission via the expected paths. It was 1 tester, and that's 100%. Indirect success, 0. Give up or bounce. This is if somebody did not complete, like if it was too difficult for them to understand and they just log out. Now that's going to be a give up or a bounce. Now this is an indirect success. This is something you should also take note as a UX designer. Now sometimes you might think users will follow the path A to complete the task, but they end up following path B. So if you have more users following path B, it is normal now for you to change path B to path A and make path B the main path. And you can make path the path A now the path B later. So you can take the first path which you gave more focus to become the second path, and you take the second path which you gave less focus to become the first path, just because users are now using that. So that's called indirect success. So let's scroll down. Now we have aggregated paths here. You can see for this tester, it took me 20.4 seconds to complete my task. And I had a 50% misclick rate. So it means that if there is a misclick, it means I clicked on different buttons thinking that was where I was supposed to click on before I got the right button. So me, I had a 50% misclick rate. Now we can click here, which is view path heat maps, to see more details, like to see where the user clicked on. If I click on view path heat maps, you'd see that we have this. Now these are heat maps on where the user clicked on. So and like I said before, I clicked here, which was wrong. I clicked here before I clicked here. So you can use the heat maps to understand the misclicks and understand and say, okay, wow, if you had 100 testers and 98 testers were all clicking one particular section, you can maybe say, okay, can we put something important there? Since most users, first of all, click there, or most users click there. So can we have something very important there? And if you have too many misclicks, it can be from your bad design. Maybe the design isn't as user-friendly as it should be, so you can actually work on that. So when you view your heat maps, you know how many points a user clicked on before they completed their mission. So you can come here and read more about the metrics. My time is going. You can come here and read about the metrics. You can see it says 75% misclick. This is the time I spent, 20.38 seconds, and all of that. So if I come here, there is no heat map here because I did not click anywhere here. So there is no heat map. So that's it. So you can use this insight now to validate the high fidelity prototype that you have created. And you can, and for UX designers who are trying to create a Behance case study, I think this is something that is rare. You can also have your Behance case study with your test results to see, like, just to also show that, yes, you understand how to carry out user testing. So you can screenshot your heat maps and place your heat maps there, place your results and all of that in your case study, just to make it a bit different from most of the case studies that are out there on Behance. So this is how to create a basic testing, a basic test with Maze. This is just it. So I think I have 7 minutes. So the 7 minutes, I'll just leave that for questions. I can see many people raising up their hand. But if you have any question, you can just go ahead. All right. If you have questions, you can ask.
Okay, thanks so much for your presentation, bro. I really learned a lot. I'll just be moderating the questions and answer section so we can all go in an orderly manner. So I'll just be calling people. I'll go through the and if we have questions and probably we are shy, we don't want to talk, we'd always put them in the comment section as well. So I could just read it out to our speaker. So I see Ayotunde Ademola. Yeah, you could go.
Okay, good evening, everyone. And thank you, Joe, again for the amazing presentation. All right, so the first question I want to ask is, you mentioned information architecture, right, during the UX research and UX process. All right, so I want to ask, so what's the difference between information architecture and user flow? And if there's any difference, is it important to have the two during your, UX research process? That's okay. So that's my first question, and then second question is sort of out of this, more like a request, as it were. I've been following your dev and design page on YouTube, right? So I would I would love if you can do a low code or no code was it a low code or no code tutorial for on the page. Yes, I think that's about that. So those are my quick two questions. Thank you.
Okay, I think I should just answer as soon as someone starts asking. So for the information architecture, yeah, and for the user flow, I think those are two different things. The information architecture is mostly very detailed. Like if I come to this page, yeah, the information architecture on this page, yeah, has to do with the information that a user has to see on this page for them to take their decisions. So the user flow is how the user goes about taking the decision. But the information architecture is you arranging the information that the user will use to make their decision, to complete their task for each step of their user flow. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense. Yes, I get it a little bit, but then just more clarification. Is it compulsory to have both on? Is it compulsory to have both during the UX process, or once you have one, it's okay? Because I noticed the one you did a tutorial on the fintech app on Figma. I think you only did information architecture. You didn't talk about anything on user flow. I think that's what really prompted my question. So yeah.
Okay, for that, yeah, it is critical that you have the information architecture, and you can get the user flow from the information architecture also, because the information architecture has to do with the information that the user will consume at each step of their task, right? So you can also use that to picture the flow that the user will have, and for each flow you show them the information that they would consume to complete their task. So if you want to have anyone at all, you should have the information architecture.
All right. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
that's
Thank you.
key. All right.
Yeah, the low code and the no code.
All right. I think that one that's going to be on Twitter. You can DM me on Twitter. Since this is a Pexel space, I think we can talk about that on Twitter.
All right then. All right, that's good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ayotunde. So before wisdom comes up, we have some questions in the comment section. So I'll just ask a few. So Chijoke is asking, can the user carry out usability test with their mobile phones, or must it be with their laptop? And also, can the usability testing on Maze be carried out on web design, or is it just for mobile apps?
Okay, let's start with the last one. If you want to carry out the usability testing for a web app, all you have to do is, let's say this is your web app, right? Let's say this is your design. Now, if you want to do this, you would create your screens, then you create a prototype of them. Then all you have to do is come here, click on show prototype settings, then you select a web layout, like a desktop layout, right? You select a desktop layout. Then
Joseph,
when you select, okay.
yeah, so we cannot see your screen. I don't know if I'm the only one or everybody's.
Oh,
You are not the only one. I can't see it.
oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I think I stopped sharing. So okay, sorry about that. So I think you guys can see my screen now. You guys can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
All
we
right.
can.
Yes.
So okay, so if you want to carry out for a web app, so you would create your normal, you design your web app in Figma, create different screens, then you create your normal prototype in Figma. After that, you ensure you click on show prototype settings and you select a web layout, like a desktop layout, MacBook Pro 14 or 16. So that when you copy the link here and you take it to Maze, Maze will know that. Maze will also check the link, the parameters in the link, to know that yes, that is for a desktop layout. So you can use that to test for web also here in Maze. So you can test with mobile, you can test with laptops also. I hope that answered the questions.
Yes, definitely did. Okay, so we have Wisdom. Wisdom, you can go next.
Okay, good evening, sir. Thank you for such a beautiful session. Okay, I have just one question. I've been having issues with differentiating between a sitemap and a information architecture. So I don't know if you can help me throw light on both of them and which to use on a particular project, or if I can make, if it's needed or necessary for me to make use of both of them on a particular project, or if I'm to use information architecture for a mobile app, then sitemap for a website. So I don't know if you can just help me throw light on that.
Okay. Yeah, sitemaps are unique, and the information architecture is also unique. Now, the edge that sitemaps can have over the information architecture is that the sitemaps are graphical. I think there is a plugin. I don't know if I have that plugin still. There's a plugin that you can use to create something like create a sitemap. Let me see. Workflow sitemaps. Let's see. So, okay, not this. So what, let me just say this, yeah. The information architecture, like you've seen most times, is just you having something like this and you say home, right? Then you have one other card there and you link them together. But the sitemap will have you actually draw like a screen, like a small screen. You'd have some colors, some little design. Then you have some information also. You'd have some information on the screen. Then you link this to like a different screen. So the sitemap has it is more graphical and it has more detail than the information architecture. So the sitemap marries the information architecture also. On a sitemap, you can also represent your information architecture there. So if there is need for you to create both of them, then you create the information architecture first. Then you use that to create the sitemaps so that you can properly know what information will stay at each screen before you move to the next stage, which is going to be the next screen. I hope that was answered.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Joe. So we have Victor Bako is asking what the acceptable duration for UX research is. Like, he's asking how long UX research should take.
Okay, that depends on the type of research that you're carrying out. There are some products that the research can take 2 months, depending on the type of data you're trying to assess. So if it's a type of data that is open out there that you can just get on Google, it's fine. If it's data that you need to go somewhere to get them, maybe to one agency or that agency to get, then that's also going to affect the timeline of your UX research. But if you are also trying to ask about how long should a user spend on each mission, right, here in Maze, that should be decided by you, the product manager, or whoever is the technical person there, or the business person trying to build the product with you. So if you guys decide that you want each mission to be completed under 3 seconds, you guys will have that as your benchmark. Then you look at the results from Maze to know how many seconds each user completed their own task. Like you can see here, mine was completed under 20.4 seconds. So this might be too much time. And the more time users spend on a screen, the less they are to make a business decision. So if they use the screen quickly, it means they can easily make a business decision. Most times when people use the screens quickly, it means they are in a haste to find a solution. So the shorter the time, the better the result.
Okay, so I'm sure Victor got one or two from that. So I don't know if anybody on the call still wants to ask questions. You could just signify by clicking on the raise hand icon. Okay, Wisdom, before we allow you to ask your question. Oh yeah, I can see Blessing Daniels. Okay, Blessing, before you come up, there's one question in the comment section as well. The person is asking who comes up with the copies for the design. Is it the designer, is it the product manager, or is it the product owner?
Okay. In an ideal setting, that should be the job of the content designer, who will be the UX writer. In an ideal setting where all of these people are present. But if all of these people are not present, if you are just the UX designer working on it, then it is your job, not the job of the product owner. Most times the product owners are non-technical. Many times they are technical but don't have the time. Like they just want you to actually work and come up with solutions. So if you have a UX writer or you have a content designer, then you give that to the content designer. But if you don't have that and it is just you, then it's your own duty. The product manager actually won't come up with it. The product manager will mostly manage all of the processes. So I hope that was answered.
Okay, yeah, I think so. So we have Blessing. Blessing, you can definitely go. Hi, Blessing, are you there? Okay, while we wait for Blessing, Wisdom has a question. Yeah, Wisdom, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much, Toby. I think mine is not necessarily a question. I don't know if we can get, sorry, sir, I don't know if you can help us with the plugin that creates the sitemap. It will be useful, sir.
Okay, then I will. I'll do
All right,
that
thank you very much.
on Twitter.
Oh, all right, okay. Thank you very much, sir. That would be nice.
Okay. Okay, I think there's a question here in the chat box that says, is the maze testing important for every design? Not every design. If it's a flyer design, it's not important. If it's just a regular brand design, it's not important. But if it's a product design, of course, all products need to be tested at every phase. So before I even sign out, how to conduct A/B testing here is that you can create a maze test for these, right? Then go to maze, create a different test for this that looks different, which you designed differently. Then you send them out to two different people. Like you send this one, you send the A version to A person, you send the B version to B person, so that you monitor the insight from the two people and know which insight is actually best. So that's how to conduct A/B testing using maze also. So you create the first one, then you go back to your dashboard. When you come back to your dashboard, you click on new project, right? Then you do that over and over and over and over again, just to have good insight on the A and the B version. So that's it. There is a question here: is sitemap the same task flow? Yes, you also have the task flow in the sitemaps. Yes, you have task flow, you have the information architecture. All of those are also represented in one way or the other in the sitemaps. Can we get the file for presentation? Okay, this file. Okay, no, this file is private. Then there's a question here that says, the first question I asked about whether the user can carry out usability testing with their mobile devices. Yes, you can do that with they can do that with their mobile device, they can do that with their laptop. But I would advise that if you are wanting them to test a web app, then you have to tell them to do it with their laptop, so that you can get better insight that way. But if they are testing a mobile app, then they can go ahead and do that with their mobile apps. Okay, over to you, Toby.
Yeah, so we have I'm not sure. Okay, Ikena, yeah, Ikena wants to ask a question. Ikena, you have the floor. Ikena, are you there?
Hello, good evening.
Okay. Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good evening, Joe. Good evening, Joe. I wanted to ask during the empathize stage, how do you get to say, like, how do you realize that you've gotten the right questions during your surveys? Like, how do you know if the questions are appropriate, like if they capture everything that should be needed or what you think should be needed? Because you may not be able to get all the questions. Like, is there any way to come up with the right questions for the survey? Thank you.
Okay, I think one way to come out with good questions for this survey is, first of all, to understand the details from the product owner. Then also, when you understand the details from the product owner, then that way you should know what to ask. And also look at the business goals. When you look at the business goals, that's if it's a business product. If you look at the business goals and you understand the problems from the perspective of the product owner, then you can start talking to the users about the problem. So there is no roadmap to that. Like that depends on how you can ask questions. Of course, you ask relevant questions and not irrelevant questions. Like you ask questions that concerns the user and concerns the product. And also you don't ask questions that will make users abandon the survey at an early stage. If you ask, like if you go ask some users about their birthday, they might just abandon the survey at that stage. If you ask some sensitive questions also, they might abandon the survey at the start stage. So you ask questions that are about the product and about that particular problem without asking questions outside of it. And that way you would have users take it.
Okay. Thank you so much. So guys, I know we have lots of questions, but we have to respect our presenters' time as well. So if we have further questions, he's on Twitter at Joe Brendan, so we could always tweet at him. I'm sure when he's free he would definitely attend to our questions. So to wrap up this Q&A session, I will just be asking one last question. So from the comment section, we can see someone asking if for redesigning an app, that's success. For redesigning an app, if the sitemap is necessary.
Okay. For redesigning an app, now the question is there are two cases there. One is, are you redesigning an app that was designed and wasn't live, or are you redesigning an app that is live? Now, sometimes you might have a case where you have to redesign an app that was not developed. Maybe there was a designer that designed it before and the owner doesn't like it. Now that means that's like you designing an app without any user insight. But if you are redesigning an app that has been in use, of course, that means you are designing an app that users have used. So there is enough user insight there. So you can use that user insight to just create your own sitemaps. And that is going to be easy. And sometimes there might even be an existing sitemap that you'd also have to refactor to make the experience easier and better. So that if you are redesigning an app that has not been live, it means you don't have any user insight, any real user insight to use. So that way, it might involve you redesigning a new sitemap for that, just so that your own user experience can be better than the one you are redesigning. That.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So we'll just, because we're respecting our presenters' time, we would not be taking any other question, right? But Joe, would appreciate if you could drop links to your social media handles in the comment section, so that anybody that wants to probably ask questions or look up your profile can do that after the meeting. So I'll be handing over to Donald. He's also a host on this call. Donald, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Okay, hey guys. So we'll be rounding up this session this evening, but we would like to take a quick picture for social media to just get word out there and spread the word that we are having awesome spaces like this every Sunday, and we also have Twitter spaces every Wednesday. So if you are able, you can just turn on your camera so we can take a quick picture. Thank you very much. So let's all just turn on our cameras and let's take a quick picture if you are able to. All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. That will be all from me. Over to you, Anayo.
All right. Thank you so much, guys, for joining up on today's AMA session. It's been a super insightful section today. Thank you very much, Joe. Shout out to Joe for bringing the fire today, and we had like a very interesting hands-on session where we got to learn how to use Mace, right? So it's really interesting. Thank you so much, and thank you so much, guys, for joining and staying on the call, right? Curriculum is a design school where we give design education. So you want to learn about design and design, education and design principles, UX process, and all of that. Pexels is definitely there for you, right? And also we do have our Twitter Spaces on Wednesdays. On Wednesday, we're going to be having a very exciting Twitter space talking about design, right? I wouldn't tell us the topic right now, but just watch out for Pexels on Twitter. Right, so we host our space every Wednesdays, and then sometimes we host our spaces spontaneously. Right, so just look out for us on Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter at PERXELS. That's Pexels. So also Sundays that you already know what it is on Sundays. Sundays are usually for AMA sessions, and then we get people who are more experienced in the design community, in the world of design, the world of UX, to get to talk to us and teach us about topics with respect to design and design growth in general. Right. So my name is Anayo Obiajulu. You can follow me on Twitter. Just type Anayo Obiajulu. Yeah, follow me, the program guy. So thank you so much, guys, for joining. Enjoy the rest of the night. Tomorrow is Monday. Stay safe.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Hi, guys.